things I was saying. And then he said, okay, we're only going to have women call in, and we'll see if they agree with you. He said he disagreed with me. So we'll see if they agree with you or if they agree with me. And we'll keep score. And you know, in hindsight, I think he thought that he was setting me up for some fireworks, right? That the women were all going to call and yell at me and call me a chauvinist pig. But we had time for 5 women, and they all agreed with these ideas because this is what women want. And so he was kind of flabbergasted. He was surprised at the end that it was a shutout, right? But really, women want men to take charge, make decisions, show leadership. It's this easygoing guy who's developed his feminine side. They want him as a friend because he's become like one of the girls. You know, he's like one of the girlfriends, and that's not what they want to be married to.
Yeah, well, I guess our question's coming in. Isn't it the concept that begins with understand? Isn't it all this begins with understanding the concept of relationship and our roles in the relationship? There's 2 people, there are 2 roles. So how would you respond to that?
Oh, exactly. I mean, people have to understand their role, and men are very unsure of their role. I mean, that's really what I discovered, you know, in my journey is like the men are really confused about their role today. And you know, as the book is being translated in 20 languages all over the world, it's like, I thought it was, when I wrote the book, I thought it was just me and my friends. Then I thought it was just in North America. Really, it's all over the world. And the interesting thing about the book is it's being published in countries where you thought, you know, men, like in Brazil, where, you know, the whole idea of machismo originated, or in Japan, where you thought every man has a geisha, you know. It's being published and, you know, people are reading it there. So it seems like this whole generation around the world had all these ideas about, you know, masculinity was something that had to be wiped out. You know, masculinity was about violence and aggressiveness and war. So everything masculine had to be wiped out. But, well, no, we've gone too far. Like, we want a man who takes charge. We want a man who can make decisions, so show leadership. So we're coming back to really like a middle position is really how I see it.
Okay. We've got another question coming in. How do we play the game of relationships? And if it's a game, what are the rules and what are the tools? Well, you know, what are the tools? What are the rules? I mean, men have to, I think women have a clear idea what their role in a relationship is, and it's really men who are confused. And you know, is it a game? I mean, it's a serious thing. I don't see it as a game, but you know, men have to understand, you know, what their role is, and it's to be a man. It's not to be like a feminized man who developed this feminine, you know, sensitive, who, you know, has no backbone. You know, really, backbone is, women want men with backbone. They want them to stand up and be strong. And you know, one woman said to me, when a woman marries a man, she's trusting him with her life. You know, she wants to feel a man could be strong and protect her. And if he doesn't even stand up to her, he just goes along with everything she says. It's like saying, well, how are you going to stand up for me if you won't stand up to me? We've got another comment coming in. Isn't it really a partnership? Shouldn't we approach this in our relationship together as a team? How do we decide who does what and when we're together as a partnership and as a team?
Well, you know, you're exactly right. It is a partnership, but it should be a partnership, but what's happened today, it's not a partnership. It's like when you leave all the decisions to your wife or your girlfriend, that's not a partnership. You're putting everything on her. That's a men thing. I'm being this nice guy. I'm letting her make the decisions, but really, you're not being fair. You're dumping a lot of responsibility on her, a lot of, you know, serious decision making. That's not being a partnership. A partnership is when both people make decisions, when both people share leadership. Yes, absolutely, it's a partnership. And obviously, men and women are different. They have different strengths, and so whoever feels comfortable in a certain role, you know, in a certain area, making decisions, then that's great. But does not mean that every decision is one that the woman should make.
Okay, Elliot, why do you think men are unaware of the traits required in being a strong man?
Well, it's tied in, you know, what we talked about earlier with the changes in the family. Also, today, a lot of boys grew up in families without fathers, that were, you know, divorced families, or, you know, their fathers worked long hours and they really weren't exposed to a strong male role model. And you look on television, the way men are portrayed as buffoons. I mean, you don't have to, like, you know, I don't want to say was perfect, but if you go back in the 1950s and the 60s, you had shows like Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best. And, you know, these were idyllic. They weren't realistic, but at least the father was a man. He came home from work and, you know, there were problems. He solved them. You know, today the men are like buffoons. Like the women have to rescue them from themselves. It's really, and we can all laugh, but, you know, what message is this sending to young boys? Like, where are they getting the idea that, you know, you, be the man, like you're responsible for what goes on in your home. You're not a buffoon.
Yeah, I see that. How important are trust and safety in this whole mix?
Well, absolutely, they're important. I mean, you know, a woman has to feel she can trust the man. She has to feel she's safe, and if he's not strong, then she won't feel safe with him. It's like I said, if he won't stand up and deal with problems, what if there's a real crisis? How is he going to stand up for her and protect her if he doesn't have the backbone to deal with everyday things?
Okay, great. We're going to take a break now. We'll joyfully go to commercial. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.